Sutra Foundation, supported by ArtsFAS, an initiative of Yayasan Hasanah, in association with D-Dance and Dua Space Dance Theatre, present Rentak Bumi. This is an exciting multicultural dance celebration presented virtually and also live. Rentak Bumi will include webinar discussions on relevant issues in dance. Zarida Malik of D-Dance, Aman Yap and Anthony May of Dua Space, and I, Ramli Ibrahim of Sutra Foundation, have designed an exciting series of dance events for you. They cover contemporary traditional to modern dances, reflecting Malaysia's rich cultural diversity. You will be able to experience these events during the coming month of October right through December. We invite you to revel in the charged energy of post-pandemic and celebrate dance after months of lockdowns. Stay tuned for current information of Rentak Bumi on Sutra Foundation, D-Dance and Dua Space social media platforms in Instagram, Facebook and websites. Hi, I'm Ramli Ibrahim, Chairman of Sutra Foundation, based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Welcome to Rentak Bumi, a festival of dance, very much a post-pandemic effort to bring back the creative energy of dance back again to the public. It is a celebration of the multi-faceted, multicultural diversity of dance in Malaysia. Rentak Bumi is part of ArtsFAS, an initiative of and funded by Yayasan Hasanah. Rentak Bumi is a partnership of 3 dance companies based in Kuala Lumpur. D-Dance, which is contemporary Malay traditional dance based, and Dua Space Dance Theatre, which is a contemporary modern dance company that prides on having a distinctive Chinese-Malaysian identity. Modernity defined by Asian perspectives is the concern of this webinar. Modern dance movement has always been associated with the West, especially America, and also to a certain extent with Europe. Pioneers of American dance, modern dance, such as Isadora Duncan, Nijinsky, Ruth and Dennis and Ted Shawn, were rebels and had reacted against the stricture of Western ballet. Martha Graham, Mary Wigman, and later Merce Cunningham soon came into the picture. The next generation of the Les Enfants Terribles of modern dance continued the discourse and narrative of modern dance. These modern dance pioneers of early 20th century were innovative individuals who not only went against the tradition of ballet, but also began to carve new aesthetics which define modernity from Western perspectives. Later Asian dancers and choreographers who studied American modern dance techniques returned home. They too started to pave way for their own trajectories that helped define their national identities through their choreographies. Many decades have passed, ladies and gentlemen. Much water has flowed under the bridge. The modern trajectories of Asia, such as India, Indonesia, Taiwan, and Malaysia, have defined modernity in dance differently. This is not surprising, as the contents that feed their works are different, as their landscapes are different. Much of the ideas of modernity are no longer carved against the current of their own traditions, but on the other hand, are expressed within the tradition. That is, the idea of modernity is a function of and is expressed as a continuum of tradition. Thus, we will find many modernists of Indian dance such as Rukmini, Mrinalini, Rantan Thiam and many others in Indonesia have creatively woven their aesthetics within the ambit of the tradition of dance or theatre rather than against the traditions. Therefore, the need to define modernity from Asian perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have 3 panelists Bapak Sal Murgiyanto from Indonesia, Anita Ratnam from Chennai, India, and Aravinth Kumarasamy from Singapore, who can comment on these aspects of modernity within the genres they are involved. We begin with Bapak Sal Murgiyanto. Bapak Sal Murgiyanto is based in Java, Indonesia. He is a critic, lecturer, founder director of Indonesian Dance Theatre IDF from 1992 to 2002, and the Chandrapita Arts Community. He's trained in classical Javanese dance, and he has performed with Sundrakari Ramayana Prambanan from 1962 to 72 and Sardono Dance Theatre from 1969 to 74. He was Associate Professor at the Jakarta Institute of the Arts from 1977 to 2015 and at Taipei National University of the Arts from 1993 to 2011. Presently, Bapak Sal is guest lecturer at Graduate School Gadjah Mada University and Indonesian Institute of Arts. Bapak Sal earned his Bachelor of Arts from ASTI Dance Academy of Indonesia in 1975, Masters of Arts, University of Colorado in 1985, and PhD Performance Studies, New York University in 1991. He's founder and board member of Society for Indonesian Performing Arts from 1992 to 1997. In 1917, Bapak Sal was dance critic for Lisa Krauss, USA, observed Asian Pacific Dance Festival, University of Hawaii, and with Arco Rens. Sal served as curators of Europhalia. Bapak Sal received letters of appreciation from Smithsonian as coordinator of the Indonesian Troupe of Folkways Festival in 1991, Museum of World Records Indonesia, MURI in 2008, and as founder director of the Indonesian Dance Festival. Bapak Sal Murgiyanto received the Satya Lancana Cultural Awards from the President of Indonesia in 2013, the Lifetime Achievement Award 2018 Indonesian Dance Festival. Bapak Sal, can you introduce yourself and share with us your experience in Indonesia dance, be it contemporary traditional or contemporary modern? How have these changed over the last 2 decades? And if the traditional definition of modern or modernity applies in Indonesia?
Thank you. Good evening for everybody. I will tell a little bit about my own experience. I was trained in traditional or classical Japanese dance, but I danced in Central Taraman for 10 years, where the word choreography are firstly introduced to Indonesia. And many of us are so proud to know about choreography, but we do not know the meaning. Okay, so when I continued my study at the ASTI, the Dance Academy in Yogyakarta, they taught us choreography, but we do not know actually what is it, because they are reading from a Western book, Doris Humphrey, so forth, and translated into Indonesian. But the translation is not good, so I got confused. So I'm dreaming, I want to know what is choreography actually, because of course in Javanese dance we make dances, but we do not call it choreography. Okay, and there is a rule that we have to follow and so forth. So after graduating from ASTI, National Dance Academy of Indonesia, a lot of dance institution, dance school invited me. In Jakarta, EKJ, in Solo, there is EC, or Indonesian Institute of the Art, and in Jakarta. Sardono was from IKJ, and I told him that I want to serve as a lecturer there if you can give me a grant to study abroad. And it was IKJ who successfully to get the grants. And my idea is to learn what is choreography actually. What I learned in Colorado, that choreography is more as a practice dance. It's not about theoretical and so forth. But what I found there is they have a very good basic technique, which is modern dance, Mother Graham or Brother Sampre or whatever, and then also classical ballet. So when I went back to Indonesia to try to spread the idea of choreography, I was got confused because in Indonesia, there is very few, and most people, study a technique in their traditional dance. We have to solve it. Talk with Sarton a lot, and then I came to three things. I think they have to have technique. Whatever technique they learn from their tradition must be strongly to become a good choreographer. In Java, that means you not only have the movement technique, but also the sensitive feeling, but also musicality. There are three things. What I surprised is that there is no element of thought, thinking, creative thinking, or critical thinking there. Okay, and also we only have to continue the line from the tradition and no creativity of making new things. So what I introduced to my student is three things: open-minded. You have to look at your own tradition. You pick up the one you like, but it's good, you can continue. But you have also to be critical. Not all what we got from tradition can be continued. They are ready to change. And then the second thing is that you have to have a critical thinking. You can see what is good, what is bad, based on your consideration. The third thing is that you have to be creative and critical. But more importantly, when you make a dance, they have to have a message or a meaning. Because in Indonesia, some people thought that dancing is just a kind of entertainment, making people please, or they deal about beauty and so forth. The message is already there in the tradition, because we have, like in India, we have Ramayana and Mahabharata. So when you pick up any episode from Ramayana, Mahabharata, or maybe Panji and so forth, there's already the message. But when I saw, for instance, the Sendratari Ramayana, where I have performed 10 years, when Rama lost Sita, abducted by Ravana, I read the novel and I fell into tears. But when we saw the choreography, nothing. So the feeling must be there, or the message must be there. And recently I found out that why it is not there. And some young people try to train their body very well, so that there is a joke, in solo that says that you're good dancers, but you become a kind of the coolie of your movement. So your body is becoming very, very, very good, technique, so forth, feeling, so forth, but you cannot make your own dance. You have to invite someone to make dance. Okay, so in that case, I try to tell them, you have to create with meaning. You have to create something. There's message in your dance. It's not just to entertain. It is not an ornament to please people. More than that. Okay, and what I said that you have to improve the literacy or the knowledge, the experience, also the ability to observe something, for these young people. This is what I still try to do it. And with all this experience, I come to the word that actually modernity and modernization and westernization is two different words. Because in Asia, in some places, they try to modernize by importing the technique of of dance, ballet, or maybe modern dance, but also the technique of choreography, the technique of different things to create something. In Indonesia, it is impossible because a lot of young people they're deeply in love with their tradition. So they don't want to replace their technique. They like that. But I say that how with what you have, you can create something new which was relevant and can be appreciated by people who are living now. And you have also the concern about what's the problem around you today in your life, in your surrounding. And can you contribute something? Maybe a critics, maybe just a question, maybe also imagination or dreaming or whatever. And I have three examples, if they can play it, you know, three small video. There is young people who name is Justina from Bali, who try to perform a duet called Kama, actually from the Kama Jaya and Kamarate love dance. They are Balinese. The second one is Parangan. Parangan is itinerary performance. It's choreographed by Othniel Tasman in 2017. Itinerary performance in his area is come, of course, from the grassroots level, you know, from this people of village. They perform from place to place. They perform from market to market in trying to survive, to live. And many of them are cross-gender. So men performing women, so forth. What I mean, the piece is that at the end, they have the tray with flowers, with many different coins, and they throw it away. And the dancers are picking up that coin. It's touched me because even though right now in Indonesia, some people have already a doctoral degree, good dancers, perform everywhere, but still they earn little money and they have to pick up, you know, from the floor. They talk themselves like, we are dancers are living like dogs. You have to go from one trash can and trash another can to get something to eat from there. And there's a joke also in the dialogue where they doing their makeup that you have to treat us because you just got a kind of a performance from the what do you call it, the political leader and so forth, you know, for the head of the village and so forth. And they said, you know, you think if I perform for them, they give me more money? No. They even sometimes misuse our game and want to force to do something bad to us. They do not pay us. And this is the fact, right? That's what's happening in Indonesia and so forth. It touched me. And the third one is actually I'm behind of this piece. I called Simpi Biwoho Kiri Sabto. In 2014, I finished from Taipei and moved back to Indonesia in order to live, to continue living with my wife. She passed away of cancer. And I try to make a ritual through performance. I'm behind it. I'm not the choreographer, but a lot of friends help me with the music. You know, this is what I mean by, if you create something with your heart, your feeling, that it will also touch the other people feeling. Okay, because this ritual then is expressing my devastating feeling, being of loss. But then we have to accept that there is God, is more than us. So there is no clapping after the give one. But many people are cut into tears and so forth because and at the end, a lot of people come to me and they say that, we know your feeling. Give me greeting and support. You know, I know how you miss your wife and so forth. So I think modernity is not only bringing dance from ritual or ceremonies to big stage, but also like Grotowski, bringing from big stage, but go back to our daily life, back to ritual in order to express your own feeling. This is also a thing that a lot of missed by young choreographers. They try to deal only with technique, they try to deal only with the beautiful physical beauty, but not about the inner beauty that really can touch, can speak to us. I think good dance, good choreography should begin from the heart. It can go through your eyes, your ears, your senses, but then you have to come back into your heart again. So you have to remember the dance, maybe not only in 1 or 2 days, but in 1 year, 2 years, or maybe all of your life.
Okay.
If you have time to show the piece, that you can.
Yes, we'll show that the piece now.
Thank you.
That was fantastic, Bapak Sal. It showed how, the modernity, modernity within the tradition, alive and well in Indonesia. Thank you. Can I now go to our next panelist speaker, Anita, who is very well known personality, a creator in India and in Malaysia, certainly. Anita trailblazes a unique 360-degree engagement with the arts, conceptualizing award-winning choreographies, curating pioneering festivals, creating unique platforms for cultural voices, and collaborating with artists across genres. Anita is based mainly in Chennai and is recognized nationally and internationally as a performer, arts entrepreneur, cultural activist, producer, educator, and revivalist, and has spent the last 5 years and working behind it. Recipient of India's Presidential Award in 2016, the Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar for Contemporary Dance in 2016, and the Vishwa Kala Ratna from Milap UK for pioneering arts and entrepreneurship in 2006. Anita's most notable works are A Million Secrets, Stone, Matrika, Seven Graces, Faces, Neelam, and Mali. Trained formally in Bharatanatyam, Anita's education in dance, theatre, and women's studies offered her a lens through which to view and interpret classical forms, creating a movement vocabulary that is rooted in India and the contemporary, with a powerful feminist post. In the year 2000, Anita launched Nartaki.com, the largest online portal on Indian dance, and she continues to embrace technology and social media. While in COVID-19 lockdown, Anita launched 4 digital initiatives, critical acclaim: Boxed, Andal's Garden, Talam Talkies, and Devi Diaries. In 1998, Anita co-founded the Other Festival, India's first annual festival of contemporary dance. She also revived the 15th century theatre performance of Kashika Natakam in her ancestral village. Anita Ratnam continues to push boundaries in arts, adapting to the times by experimenting with new media and reinventing. Anita, similarly, I want to ask you the same question as I did now. Please introduce our audience with what you are about. India has a powerful and unique dance voice and achieved a unique identity in both contemporary, traditional, and contemporary modern dance genres. And you've been part of the movement both the traditional and the modern. Having observed a whole vista of Indian dances, can you summarize how modernity impact dance generally in India?
Thank you, Ramli. I want to take a moment on this auspicious Vijayadashami day to acknowledge our Guru, Arya Lakshman, and one of my favorite gurus, Neela Satyalingam. They have both been very, very important for me in giving me the space to dream and to watch me fly, sometimes in directions away from them. So because today's Vijayadashami, I wanted to start my conversation with that. I also want to take the audience to a moment back in New York where during the conference of the Dance Critics Association, this is about 20 years ago, I was on the panel with Garth Fagan, the award-winning choreographer for Lion King, the now iconic Lion King that's won all these awards. So I was showing a clip from a piece of mine called Daughters of the Ocean, and he was showing a modern pas de deux, a ballet duet. And in his clip, the man and the woman were both topless. So after showing the clip, I showed my clip. And the first question he turned and asked me was, why is there so much costume? Why is there so much cloth? Why are the dancers so covered? So that was, there was nothing to do with the movement, the idea, the choreography, but his question to me was, well, in a sense, why are you not showing more skin? To which I said, this is what the work demanded. And 25 years ago, that work was considered modern or contemporary. Because Ramli, you and I have come from a performance, a longer performance trajectory. I think that what I want to say at the outset is that in Asia, we are collaborating and reinventing ourselves every moment, at every moment that we speak. We don't have notations even for our dance. We don't have librettos for the dance choreography, because every time we even approach a traditional piece, we can do it differently, because that's what we call manodharma. So it's creating in the moment. But having said that, there is certainly in modern India, post-independent India, as maybe particularly if we leave Uday Shankar out, I would say that from the 1980s, there has been a pushback against what traditional Indian dance was supposed to represent. The ideas and the aesthetics of beauty and formalism or symmetry, or the narrative of telling stories. But we tend to forget that we are a culture that wants to hear stories and we want to tell stories. And when Saul said, work from the heart, I think dance needs to be received also with the heart to heart, without having the mind edit it and censor it and ask all these various questions about what does it mean, what does it mean? But another thing that we have in our Asian arts is that while we all have the flexed or the bent knee, even in our martial arts or our dance forms, our connection with the earth is very different from Western bodies who have fall and recovery and those techniques that actually have the body falling to the earth. When you mentioned Ratnam, Ramli, Ratnam was both political and modern. He created theater or movement theater or spectacle theater using very traditional Manipuri motifs and stories. So, but he's considered modern theater. And so is Veena Pani Chawla. Veena Pani Chawla and Auroville is considered modern, but what did she create from? The breadth of Kudiyatam, the physicality of Kalari, and voice culture. So she was taking from all traditional systems, and she was making a performance aesthetic or her performance vocabulary. But she was not drawing from Martha Graham, and she was not drawing from Lee Moore, and she was not drawing from anybody else. So in India, our reference points have been, at least in modern India, have been people more from theater than from dance. Though I have to say that in the traditional trajectory or the pathways, I would say Varuvu Ramya Pillai, the Bharatanatyam guru, was a very modern guru, because when he started choreographing for cinema, for me, that is a modern moment in dance history. The adaptation of a traditional knowledge for the 3 minute or the cut and take of the camera rather than a continuous moment. I'm sure he was learning as he was choreographing. We have Padma Subramaniam, who created a kind of Ekaharya Abhinaya using a mono acting in trying to synthesize theater, her music, and her amazing, very, very articulate, expressive body. And then we have Chandralekha, who's hailed as a moment in India's modern dance. But we tend to forget that for Chandralekha to begin creating her work, she asked Rukmini Devi for 12 of her Kalakshetra trained Bharatanatyam bodies. If Rukmini Devi had not sent those 12 dancers on Chandralekha's request, traditional Bharatanatyam bodies, where would Chandralekha have had the clay upon which to create her sculpture? So we tend to kind of, when we talk, we tend to compartmentalize people as this or that. But Chandralekha also always used classical music. She worked with Udupi Lakshmi Narayan Rao, she worked with Madurai G.S. Mani, she worked with Ghata Matis, she worked with Vikku Vinayakaram sir's family, with Drupad. So where was her sort of, she was not sort of wishing away things or sweeping them under the carpet. what she was trying to resist with what she says with the over cosmetization, the cosmetic nature of what she felt dance had become. Well, let's look at the lockdown in the 18 months. What are we seeing with classical dance? Even the aesthetic has changed. Dancers are creating what they call reels in 60 seconds or 30 seconds. And they are trying to get our attention in that time. I want to come now to what I've been doing most recently with Devi Diaries. And this is the month of the goddess with Devi. And so mostly, like you, Ramli, I've just finished a Vijayadashami celebration. So in this whole month of presenting various different dance forms, I also reached out to 5 contemporary dancers who are in the contemporary, I would say the contemporary Indian dance space. They must have had some kind of other kind of modern dance training, but what they've done is they've synthesized it and they've created their own work. It's called Contemporary Everyday Goddesses, and it goes even from the daily worker who comes in to clean your house and to clean your vessels, your eating vessels and cooking vessels. So I want to just show you this clip now of what we call Devi, D-A-Y-V-I, the Devi, the everyday goddess. It's just a clip. It will play on the 17th evening. But can we have the clip, please?
Yeah.
So we have these young people who have taken, one comes from Bharatanatyam, one comes from Kathak, one comes from a kind of the Rabindra Sangeet, Calcutta, and then some contemporary work. One has come from the Arta Kalari, Bangalore School of Training. So there is a synthesis, but they've all interpreted what they feel is a sacred feminine in their own way. They talk about their own body, how they feel. The cloth is about the earth, and here they're working from what I call their own terroir, their own territory, their own geography. And they haven't had any kind of extensive modern or Western dance training, but they've worked with getting their bodies articulate, which means they've worked in other things, maybe martial arts. Maybe they've done some different kinds of Pilates and stretching to get their bodies to be more expressive. One of the things that I've been asking these contemporary dancers is that it's only in India, Ramli, that the face is so expressive in our dance arts. East of India, the face is sometimes and very often masked. And west of India, the face is not expressive. So it's in India that we have such an expressive, the face itself has its own vocabulary and its own stories to tell, which is why we can have senior celebrated artists in their 70s and 80s who don't need to dance very much, but if they can just sit and they can emote. We have that skill of abhinaya. And my question to the young are, why do you negate your face? I mean, why don't you allow your face to also move with your body? It doesn't always have to smile, but it can also be a reflection of. So I think that the young people are a bit, more convinced about the Western contemporary dance aesthetic, about just, not having much on the face and having it all shown in the body, in the Angika, which is all right to a certain extent. But we are in Asia very emotional people. You know, we want to we want to laugh, and we want to cry, and we want to feel for the character, and we want to leave the theater a little lighter, maybe a little lighter. But I think contemporary dance, and today in India, contemporary dance wants to provoke, wants to make you a little perturbed, wants to make you a bit concerned, and they are attempting to be political from their immediate environment. We have some very exciting dancers actually from Manipur, for instance, you know, who are actually very political. There are dancers who come from say a family of militants, you know, and he has brothers and uncles who go out every morning, but here is this young man just creating. So his work, or the way his body moves, is the way he shakes and the way he shudders, is, for him, he says, a reflection of the daily kind of knife edge that he lives on. So India, for me, is also a continent. It's not just a country. India has so many countries within one. And I cannot talk about one kind of modernity or one kind of newness or even one kind of classicism, because we have so many ways of you know, expressing. I think I will end my first conversation here, because I think others have to speak, and then we can have more opportunity to talk. But I also wanted to end by showing you what I had attempted, which I just premiered this morning. And I worked with 4 young 20-somethings with their iPhones. And I surrendered myself to these 4 20-somethings and was allowed to be directed by them. And I created a dance video, of which you will see an excerpt, which brought together the famous Carnatic composer Dikshatar and the Bengali poet Tagore in a beautiful meeting. So for me, was a very modern moment. I was not trying to create new movement, but I think between the digital space, what the way these young people and what the camera captured, the angle, whatever, and the way it was edited, those choices were all it was made by this young team. So for me, that is for me a very important shift, you know, in a performer's path. So I want to just end my part 1 with it. So can we see that video, please, called Enchanted? Just an excerpt. So for me, it is a continuous negotiation that we have with our bodies, that with time is aging, with my young dancers who also come with very fixed ideas, with my lighting designer or my costume designer who also bring in their own viewpoints of how the movement must be or how the narrative must unfurl. So today, it's such a collaboration, the way I work, that it's not just one choreographer's point of view. I'm really using the idea of collaboration much more seriously. And I think that post-COVID, the kind of work that we will see back on stage, I think hopefully should reflect something of a shift, both in content and in intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. That was a very, very interesting vista of COVID-driven lockdowns and the aesthetic that has come through, and it just offers that kind of wider perspective of modernity, which I think has prevent us from really trying to box modernity into a Western perspective or an Asian perspective or whatever it is, and open it up into a truly kind of compelling point of view of the present. That's fantastic. Now we come to our last and wonderful panelist, Aravinth Kumarasamy, who is presently artistic director of Apsara's Arts Dance Theatre, a dance company based in Singapore. Aravinth is a multi-talented artist who is involved in Indian dance, music, theatre, and other related fields, and is a prominent figure in the international Indian arts community. Aravinth's creation at Apsara's Arts have been acclaimed as world-class, seamlessly blending innovative choreography based on traditional dance vocabulary, thereby progressively redefining the boundaries of Bharatanatyam ensemble work. His collaborations with Cambodian, Javanese, and Balinese dance forms have been much acclaimed. Aravinth has been trained in Bharatanatyam under the tutelage of Padma Shri Varavul Ramaya Pillai, and in Carnatic music under the tutelage of Vidushi Kalpagam Swaminathan. Aravinth Kumarasamy is the proud recipient of several awards, including Singapore's Young Artist Award by the National Arts Council of Singapore in 1999. He is also recipient of the Aryabhatta Award from India in 2016 and the prestigious Kala Ratna Award from Singapore Indian Fine Arts Society in 2019. Aravinth directs and produces festivals in Singapore, sits on the advisory board of National Arts Council of Singapore, and is on the Talent Advisory Board of the People's Association of Singapore. Aravinth, please introduce yourself and share with us the transcultural ideas you have experimented in your productions and how this experience has been. We know that Singapore is actually a bastion of traditional Bharatanatyam, and it may not be easy for you to introduce new ideas in Bharatanatyam. How do Singapore audiences receive contemporary modern ideas in these traditional productions?
Firstly, thank you, Ramli, for having me on this panel. I mean, listening to Pasal and Anita, it has been a very interesting and inspiring session. And Vijayadashmi greetings to all of you. I think on such an auspicious day, we are talking about something that's very important and close to our heart. So in my journey at Apsara's Arts, it has been how to evolve a kind of work that is suitable for ensemble work, where multiple bodies who are trained in Bharatanatyam can create a new work. So that has been the trajectory. That is the calling. That is the search. And if you allow me, I would like to share with you a small presentation so that I can walk you all through it. Yeah. So I call it the modern ensemble, modern dance ensemble for Bharatanatyam. And this has been my journey in Apsara's Arts. Of course, all of you all know Apsara's Arts was founded by Neela Mami and Sathilingam Mama. But you know, this journey has been on for almost 15 years now. So the challenge that I took upon is most Indian classical dance genres are solo based. They're all solo based. People are trained to be soloists. And the quality of craft of the solo dancer evolves along with years of experience. And then finally, the solo dancer through maturity creates her own style of dance, which attracts a group of followers and fans, fan circle. So all the names that we know in the Bharatanatyam dance industry, they have, after many years, they've created their own form, own style of presentation. And this is the normal trajectory of a solo artist. So this has been a challenge. How do we put together multiple bodies, and how do we create work that doesn't take away the vocabulary of Bharatanatyam, take away the aesthetics, because here I would like to agree with both Paksal and what Anita had to say. This is not a moment of rebellion against any dance form. It's about how do we now create a work that actually brings more people together, because it's the need of the hour. It's a need of the contemporary times, where we have, in a way, I would say, in many centers of dance, like Chennai and Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, for that matter, there is more supply than demand. We have so many dancers who have been trained, and if they all start presenting 2-3 hour solo performances, there are no audiences, there are no platforms. So what happens to all these dancers who have been trained? So my calling was, when I looked at it, I looked at the thousands of arangetrams that happens every year, and many of them are very good dancers. And what happens to them? They do not have opportunity or platforms to do solos. The solo is very limited. So what is the opportunity for these dancers who are trained, and they train for more than 15 years to get on the stage for Bharatanatyam? So this is the calling on how to take the challenge. So this is a challenge I've taken. So in the Bharatanatyam form, as I is sharing here, you can see, we know what we call dance dramas. So dance dramas have an epical story, and you enactment that could be theater, it could be dance. And of course, our reverence goes to Rukmini Devi Arundel for creating this dance drama format that Kalakshetra is reputed for. And it created a wave of thinking. And then we had many gurus who followed that later on and created the ensemble work, which we call the dance at the same time. So they do continuously dance something that is choreographed for one dancer, but it's multiplied. And many times, we call the famous V shape. They're all standing in a V shape and they're performing. So these were the only two ensemble work that was there, an example to put multiple people on stage. So my calling was, how do we go beyond that, and what is the contemporary need of creating work? So today, the opportunity was to then create an ensemble work on classical dance, create a multi-sensory experience, because now we are in a world of multimedia. So it's not just watching the dance, exploring new narratives, because we don't have to only stick to the Margam repertoire, Nayaki, Nayaka stories. How do we bring new narratives in for contemporary times? And how do we create possibilities for collaboration? Whether it's a collaboration with a sound designer, is it a collaboration with a composer, collaboration with another genre of Asian art, or is it a collaboration with the costume designer? How do we create collaboration? Because in the past, as we all know, the collaboration was within the musicians and the dancer. How do we come out of that and create more opportunities for collaboration? So this is the opportunity that I saw in going for this calling, and hence my journey has been this with ArtsFAS Arts. But interestingly, this is a norm in Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, you wouldn't see much of solo work. The dance forms are taught. So we have put 3 examples up here. We have the court dance of Yogyakarta. You have the Apsara dance of Cambodia, and you have the Balni Chak dance. So you see that they work together. They work in ensembles. They do not work on their own. They not perform on their own. And in fact, they have to work together as a team, especially for those who are new to Southeast Asian dance. If you look at the picture of the Cambodian Apsaras on the right-hand side on top, you see there are 7 Apsaras. And just like how the footballers, have their positions, whether they are midfield or whether they are goalkeeper, these dancers are known by first dancer, second dancer, third dancer, fourth dancer. And I used to be always, when I meet them, I ask them, what do you do? They say, oh, I'm number 5 Apsara. So I was always intrigued. Why 5 Apsara? Because she has been trained to do the 5th position. And if the 1st and the 7th and the 6th do not work with her, the 5th position will not be able to perform. And the 5th position will embellish all the other 6 positions. So it's a very interesting way how traditional dance like Cambodian Apsara dance or Javanese dance actually rely on multiple bodies working together in synchronization and making sure the visual spectacle is achieved by them coming together as a team. So this has been the calling for Apsara's Arts where I have been looking forward. So I'm going to just share two experiences with you, even the time is short. First, the choreography approach. I'm giving two productions example. One was Nirmanika. It was ensemble work on the beauty of architecture. And the second one is Anjunayam, Hanuman's Ramayana, where we bring telling the story of epic stories, how the storytelling can be told differently. And again, here is a collaboration with Javanese dancers and musicians coming together to work with Bharatanatyam dancers. And so Nirmanika, as the word says, is about architecture. And here you can see that the dancers are using Bharatanatyam technique, but we collaborate a lot with the lighting design, because lighting design is so important. For me in this work, while I was choreographing, the lighting designer was my co-choreographer, so to say. So it was not like we choreographed and showed the piece to the lighting designer, said, can you light us up? The lighting designer was working from day one, and inputs that came from the lighting designer would go and alter the choreography to make sure that we actually can capture those ideas in. So it was a work that we worked together. And here I could put multiple bodies to work together. There was no Nayaki, Nayaka, there was no Padam Javali to dance for, but they were showing the beauty of architecture. And both dance and architecture have one thing in common. They both manipulate space and light. So this is what I was attempting to use here. How do we show manipulating the space and light through dance choreography of movements of multiple bodies moving in space, and here the space being the stage. So this is one example of how I was trying to take the Bharatanatyam form moving forward. And what I very strongly believe is the company dancers are trained in one genre, Bharatanatyam, and I do not expect them to do something they're not trained in. So there is no other genre that's coming in. They don't have to pretend to do moves that they're not been trained in. So they are all trained Bharatanatyam dancers, and they perform Bharatanatyam vocabulary, but the vocabulary has been chosen for this work and put together again based on the theme. So this is one work on one approach on how I think modernity in Bharatanatyam journeying the ensemble work. My second example will be on Anjunayam. Now Anjunayam, again, very interesting. It's a storytelling of a Ramayana, but from Hanuman's life. So it is Anjunayam, Hanuman's Ramayana, where we tell the story of the Ramayana through Hanuman's life. And here I was very, very challenged, because if I follow the dance drama tradition that Rukmini Devi has showed us, we will have the main Sita, main Hanuman, main Ravana, and they will be taking the limelight. So what happens to my ensemble dancers? How can they be thrust upon to take the story through? So here I went to get inspiration from the No Theatre of Japan, and the Greek theatre elements, and traditional Indonesian tari kecak of Balinese dance, to make the ensemble come in the centerfold of the performance. They are the storytellers. They bring the narrative across, and then the Rama and Sita and Hanuman and Ravana become the part and parcel of the storytelling, and the story is told by an ensemble rather than the story is enacted by the main hero and heroines. So this is the modernization I saw in how we can take the ensemble forward. And of course, then technology is very important. So 3D animation projection mapping was used for the traditional sets. And of course, we had a live orchestra with the Javanese gamelan and the Carnatic musicians and instrumentalists who are performing. So we use 3D surround Dolby sound to get the effect of people, the audience being placed in the middle of the stage. So as if the audience is seated in the middle of the stage, and they can feel the sound and the voices coming from the different directions. So they feel part and parcel of the story rather than a spectator watching. And here, I think we are trying to bring together a total experience, a visual and aesthetic experience of the audience. So I'll just show 3 clips from this Anjunayam work. This one is the Sita recollecting the Maricha episode. So she meets Hanuman Anjanaya much later in the story. So she enacts, she tells the story to Hanuman. So what we did was to create that is an illusion. We actually have an illusion stage. You have actually the ultraviolet illuminated stage, and you can actually see the golden deer as if it's an illusion. So it is not real, it's an illusion, but you can see Rama and Sita are real. As you can see, they come on stage, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, but you can see the golden deer is an illusion, right? So this is again to show how we can create a multi-sensory experience of the audience, right? Then I move on to another example. How do we use 3D projection mapping and animated mapping, but how can we create an experience where the dancer and the technology interacts real time? So without the set being a projection, how does we interact? So there were 2 examples I will show you. Of course, because it's Anjanayam, is the Hanuman's parts which you get interaction. Here, Hanuman shows is Vishwarupa to Sita to prove to her that he's not a mere small monkey, and and she gives he gives Sita the confidence that Rama will come and he proves her powers to her. So I will let the clip play, and then you can see how we use the dancer and the technology to interact in real time on stage. So Hanuman says, "I'm not a small mere monkey." I'm the messenger from Rama. So what you saw was the 3D projection mapping actually creating the gigantic image of Hanuman, showing the Vishwarupam with his 5-faced Panchamukha Anjanaya. So here the craftsman who's working on the 3D projection mapping is also performing, because the timing has to be to the movement of the dancer. And as Anita said, we improvise a lot. So each day of the show, the Haripadman who played this part, you would do something differently. So the artisan who's working on the technologies, who's working on the project mapping, had to watch the dance very closely so that the projection can come together. So this is how one example of we brought together. I would like to end my session with what we do during the pandemic. So the pandemic, brought us into a different realm. It brought us into a place where we had never been before. And I, for one, thought that putting a camera in front of a dance, in front of a dance performance and shooting it and showing it on any screen will not do justice to what the audience can really see. So again, I was very much interested in showing the sensory experience. So what we did was we created 2 dance films during the pandemic. And this one I'm going to share with you is on the Sita as painted by Raja Ravi Verma. So I selected 5 paintings of Sita that he painted and take the dancers to a CGI screen studio. Of course, we all know about the Avatar movie, how it was created. So I took the dancers to a green screen CGI studio and we shot them in multiple angles, in multiple takes. And then during post-edit, we actually inserted the digital version of the actual paintings of Raja Ravi Verma so that the dancers will then able to show the audience experience of these heroines that Ravi Verma painted, Sita, to come alive. So let me show you one example of one painting, Sita in Vanavas. So, this gave a lot of possibilities of actually bringing the painting alive, but also, for a Bharatanatyam ensemble company to dream of having Bombay Jayashree sing for live, it's not possibility. So I thought, okay, COVID can help us. We are doing it digitally. So she could lend her voice and we can bring. So again, here looking at different possibilities of how to make the pandemic to our advantage. So this is one example that I just shared. So this has been, Ramli and the panel, my journey in bringing the ensemble Bharatanatyam form into work that I can have multiple people coming. The last example of Sita was very deliberate for y'all because I agree with Pak Sal about coming from the heart. And we call it the Sahridaya movement, like what Anita said, where the hearts have to meet together, not put the mind in the middle to do analysis and put a filter in. But the most important thing is what we call Sattvika Bhava in our dance, where the minds meet and the emotions meet. So while I am doing things like Nirmanika, where we have multiple bodies with light design, I'm also very conscious that the soul of Bharatanatyam is Sattvika Abhinaya. How do we also keep that as in our exploratory trajectory while working on ensemble work? How do we also keep the Sattvika Abhinaya coming along? So this is what I would like to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aravinth. Thank you very much for sharing this, the wonderful things that you've done, and in big time also, because I think Singapore is one of the very few of the Southeast Asian countries who are able to take on such big projects. And truly, congratulations, because many artists certainly during the pandemics are facing a meltdown, but I think Singaporean artists are relatively well looked after in the infrastructure, and I think the government has really truly looked after the artists, the destiny of the artists during these very difficult times. But looking at what we have talked about over the time, the vista of the definition of what modernity is. And I almost felt that modernity is really a state of mind. It is a state of more individualistic kind of a idea of one person rather than the collective of a tradition. I think modernity and tradition are a kind of a continuum, but it is how we Asians also have perceived this thing called modernity has changed through the decades of development, and one of the things that brought up by Anita, because she has embraced really the social media and all the digital thing, and so did you, Aravinth. So I'm just so taken up by Sal, because I concur with him that during my time, the word choreography was not there. And, I was, I remembered during the Lakshman's time, when we talk about choreography, and I think Lakshman Sir, our guru, our shared guru with Anita Ratnam, did not understand or did not take in what the word choreography means. But please, I'm very, very, I'm a position of how do I say? I'm in a position where I find that the online thing, Anita especially, has kind of devalued, because there are so many things that is available now, that it has almost devalued what we find so precious. What do you think of that? And this include traditional or modern things, and the experience of the real life thing of theater, of abhinaya, that manodharma thing, or hirdaya, of what Aravind was talking about, is being diminished through the online thing. What do you think?
I think, Ramli, we have to remember one thing, that you and I may think that, oh, the minute lockdown, all the dancers just got onto the digital platform and were just performing. Do you know, 70 or 100 kilometers outside Chennai, connectivity is so bad that amazing folk dancers have not been able to get online as easily as we are talking right now. So there's only one kind of artist that we have sort of seen, mostly the classical artists. The contemporary dancers, people from theater, they've not got online as quickly, and have not regurgitated so much content free online. So there's a certain kind of privilege that we're talking about, only people who had access to this technology. Having said that, let me tell you some of the good things about the lockdown is the global reach. You know, we could sit here in Chennai and listen to maybe a musician somewhere else, or a teacher talking about a certain aspect of maybe the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Gita or something. Learning was really enhanced during lockdown. I'm not saying performance, but learning, all the back end of knowledge systems, they really flourished. And those who were willing to take advantage of that during lockdown, I think would have been very wise. I agree, Ramli, when you say that there was a glut, there was too much content, most of it given away free. And so when I speak to some people like Shale in Bangalore, who really look at a business model or an economic model of this, they were lamenting and saying that it's really hard for dance. Now, there's a surge, by the way, in anything to do with traditional systems, health, Ayurveda and health systems, food, nutrition, cooking. All those areas have exploded in popularity. So are traditional things about temples. So that has happened during lockdown. And believe me, when Broadway opens, or when the Lincoln Center opens, Giselle, Swan Lake, and Nutcracker will be sold out. They will be oversubscribed, because there is this yearning of the heart to go back and watch something familiar. You know, if Kalakshetra had opened their December series with the Ramayana, they would have been oversubscribed again. Just the experience to go back, forget about contemporary at this moment, just to go back, to have a sense of community and to sit and watch something familiar. We may have seen it so many times. So there is that. India is not opening up as rapidly as maybe some other countries. And Kalakshetra may or may not have their physical festival. It may be online. Music Academy is certainly going digital. But I don't want to watch classical solo dance through my phone. I don't want to watch even the greatest of dancers on my iPad, because as Aravind had demonstrated through his through his, short clips. The collaboration that a dancer needs, if you're looking at this flat face of a camera, you need multiple cameras. You need somebody with sensitivity, you need the right lighting, and even a master performer will end up looking flat if they don't plan their presentations. So what is the point? What's the point of having a marvelous artist with bad camera work? And why would I want to see the artist when I can wait for another year and I will watch the artist? Or if I can travel to the artist's hometown, if, or Kerala, wherever, I'll go. But this is one thing that I've decided. It is going to take a lot to take me out of my house to go and watch a live performance. I'm not going to just go and sit for the sake of sitting. I really want to go and select what I want to see. So I predict, Ramli, that we will come back to the salon experience. We will return to the 50, 60 people sitting in smaller spaces in maybe old heritage homes, maybe in my garden or in my space, and have curated performances with, and let me tell you, we also have to curate our audiences. We want interesting people to also be there. You know what it is like, Ramli, you know what it is like, Aravind, because we need to curate our audiences as well now, and not just the performances. For instance, I'm going to be presenting a Teyyam performance in my garden in December. So the makeup itself will be a kind of a performance. And women are learning Terukuttu, this all male dance form of Terukuttu. I find that very contemporary. I find it a very modern moment where gender is broken and young girls are now being trained in Terukuttu. And I'm going to take a group of 30 or 40 people to Kanchipuram to give them the experience of the performance, dinner, conversation. I think these are the kinds of performative experiences that we are going to really seek, rather than go sit with masks, socially distanced, not being able to, turn around and talk to somebody about, what did you think of that? Because that person is going to be 2 seats away. Yeah. So, yeah. So, so I feel that that it's going to be slow, Ramli. Crowds are not going to be that easy to accumulate again, but I'm hoping that somehow the so-called power brokers and the so-called great gurus and divas and kings and queens, I hope that castle has been demolished somewhat by COVID. I hope that they don't, sit on their high horses and say, if you're not featured in our roster, you are nobody. Because COVID has sort of made many things very democratic. Yeah, I think so.
Now, what is the artists in Indonesia embracing the social media as much as they are in India? Because India is just really quite fantastically embracing the social media. What do you think in Indonesia?
There is some people trying it, some successful, some are not, because the situation technologically and economically in Indonesia is not as good as in other countries, and also the level of education. I think what I mean by literacy is not only literacy in dance and in the art, but also literacy in high technology. And this is only limited to a big city, metropolitan city, but in small cities, small villages, it's still very difficult, Last month, I joined a conference in a webinar in Palangkaraya, for instance, and there are 2 younger than me, a choreographer coming. One is Martinus Miroto from Jogja. The other one is Mila Rosinta, who is also from Jogja. They talk about this digital era of dance. And Miroto work, doctoral work is doing the hologram or whatever. So he's bringing dancers from Taipei, he's bringing dancers from different parts of the world and perform parts live performers, but the others are, through this digital era, for instance. And he tried to go deeply and try to do the possibility to do this one. Mila Rosinta, who is younger, formerly student of Miroto, did the same thing. He began with documenting their piece and putting into the internet and so forth. But right now they developed this one. But this is two good examples. The rest, they're still struggling, I think. My concerns, because I'm an educator and I'm also a festival organizer. I'm thinking when I initiated Indonesian Dance Festival. Some people ask me, Pak Sal, you bring not only Indonesian choreographers, but also international choreographers. So why not, to make it big, you say this International Dance Festival. And I said, in my opinion, it's not, because I'm working for the Indonesian choreographers. I want to have the young people, upcoming talent, to open up their piece and also compare with other things from the outside. But I'm saying I'm doing for them, because by opening that kind of forum, they know themselves. Because if I say your work is bad, your work is not good, and so forth, they will get angry with me. But they open this like this one, and I saw which one is interesting for you. Can you next time come and go higher with that? This the kind of Eastern way how to educate people. So I say this is Indonesian Dance Festival because in every festival, I want the Indonesian participant is more than the Western festival, Western participant. Okay, because it is easy in Jakarta, to get, from the Alliance Francaise, from the lot of foreign representative to bring and to send this one. At one time, I have an argument, because I said, I don't want to get 3 representatives from one country, because in that case, then I'm just only becoming, a place to present what they want to show to us. I don't want this one. I have to have a policy. Okay, and the other thing is, I said, like you said, in the old days, when you have company from abroad, it's just perform, finish, when Martha Graham perform, it's just like that. I try in my festival, you want to perform, you have to give the time to talk with people in Indonesia, the audience, but also to do kind of workshop. And if possible, then we have what you said, collaboration. What have you? It's not always smooth, but this is in a way pushing these young people to open up their mind and to look at themselves in what level are they. Because sometimes they don't have a confidence. They know they can do good things, but when they face with other people, especially from the West, they said that, oh, I'm and this is what sometimes makes me upset, because in collaboration, sometimes choreographers from abroad, from the outside, working together, but because of maybe English, because of whatever, when they make a conference, this is the guest who talk a lot. The Indonesian choreographers stop their mouth. When I ask them, that's my idea. I contribute to that, but they don't have the mouth to say that. In IDF, in Indonesian Festival, I say you have to come both side to side, not like that one. I push them to be able to say and to. That's what I mean.
But I think Indonesian Dance Festival remain one of the most vibrant modern dance platform for Indonesia. And I am very happy to say that I was able to get to know so many exciting choreographers, modern choreographers of Indonesia through the Indonesian Dance Festival. My last question, because time is running out, Aravinth, how does Singapore find modern ideas? Are they still kind of Mylapore mummies running around in Singapore, or are they Indian modern ideas for you to modern ideas in
Your space is not clear. Can you repeat it? It's not clear, the connection.
It's a question to Aravinth, because to a certain extent, Indian dance in Singapore is a kind of a bubble. Aravind is one of the very few people that I explore modern ideas. And I'm asking if Indian dance audience in Singapore accept these modern ideas.
So actually, Ramli, is a very good question. And, my trajectory has been a 15-year journey, right? So I would say that in the first 5-6 years, I had to deal with the Mylapore Mami versions of Singaporean Mamis coming. And then we had an influx of NRI Mamis, which were not there before. When I was very young with Nila Mami's group in my 20s, we didn't have so many NRIs, but
Yes.
then influx of NRIs came. And then they had a certain expectation that they carried with them. And I used to always wonder that India and Chennai has moved on, but they have not moved on. And then when I went to live and work in the USA, then I realized in Bay Area, they are in 1960 Mylapore, when Mylapore itself is moved on. So we had the challenge. But then what happens is that as a company, as a repertory company, after a period of time, you actually build your own fan club. You build your audience with you. So today, I must say that I get very little of these NRI or this Mylapore Mamis coming for the show because they have their own festival, they have their own things to go and watch. So so the audience is very different, and the audience is very multicultural audience. I have a lot of Japanese, I have a lot of a lot of other Asians who are coming to watch because of the Asian collaboration. So when I started to work with a dramaturg, it was a shock to a lot of the Mylapore Mamis. Said, why did you need a dramaturg? Because they didn't understand that the work that I'm doing actually needs that kind of interaction and work. It's not I'm choreographing a margam, right? So Ramli, yes, we have that, but we have managed to break through. And for our work, we have our own following who are coming to watch now. And this good thing is that the audience experience is very, very important for me. So what happens, Ramli, is that in the last 5 years, before we premiere a work, I actually do a pilot premiere where actually I invite a group of audience, a mixed audience, and I take their feedback, and we actually find out that, there's a lot of things, and it's not necessarily they're going to tell you things to change, but they will give you affirmation on things that you thought that it should be a way to do things. So it works both ways. So you build your audience and you move on. And I think the Southeast Asian collaboration has opened doors for me. I have a lot of Cambodians and Indonesians are watching Bharatanatyam now. So when I did Anjunayam, my dancers did Kritatha. They can't do a Javanese movement. So I had a whole Javanese audience watching Bharatanatyam and appreciating the Mridangam and Carnatic music and all. So yes, we have to grow our own audience. And I think that is something true for everybody. I mean, you have to grow your audience. I mean, you cannot play unless you want to play to the gallery and keep, playing to the same audience. So sometimes, I think Anita will know this, when I come to Chennai, when I'm invited, I had to be very careful on what I bring to Chennai, because not everything will work in Mylapore.
Yes,
not everything will work. Yeah. So and it's not a criticism. It is that their taste is different, their palette is different, and you have to make sure that you bring the right thing. And many times I have politely refused. I've said no, I don't think I can bring that work there, because it's no point bringing a work that people are not ready to accept it. And it's no fault of the audience or no fault of the artist. It's not there. So we just have to accept it and move on.
Guys, everyone, thank you very much. I think we've kind of run out a bit of time, but it has been a wonderful discussion with three of you, and thank you very much for looking at modernity from such angles. And it has been a very enjoyable conversation with all of you. You are so articulate in expressing and how modernity has kind of has become a very, very fluid thing in our Indian perspective. And once again, thank you very much for participating.
Can I have last statement? I think modernity is the meeting between East and West. In my experience, I'm coming from a tradition. So we have to know deeply and appreciate our tradition, but also to know well the West in order to synthesize, to come together, in order to become yourself or herself, not to become copy of the West or copy of tradition.
Absolutely.
Because this time, needs its own expression. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal, for the last word. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramli.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.